just one of the books that has made a real difference for me over the years is this one by David Allen, Getting Things Done. It's a classic in the world of productivity. I was first introduced to it some years ago now by a fellow speaker, coach, facilitator, a friend of mine who at the time was running a series of courses on productivity with execs in corporates. And so he'd reviewed the literature, he'd built meaningful expertise in this area, and he said to me, look, there are two main books you need to read on productivity. He said, one of which was that one, David Allen. I'll mention the other one, by the way, before the end of this video, so stick around. And what I find is if I'm reading a book for practical purposes, I don't mean fiction and for reading for enjoyment, but for practical purposes, if I take even one thing, one tip, one idea, one insight, and meaningfully apply it, then it's worth the investment of a few hours in the reading of the book. And that's certainly been the case with this one, Getting Things Done. Actually, I find myself continually coming back to it, including today, which is perhaps why it's on my mind. But here's the idea more than any other which stuck with me. There's lots of things I've taken from the book, but the one idea more than any other is this one. David Allen's idea of the next action. The next action. In other words, what is the precise next action you need to take in order to move things forward? The point Alan makes is this, that when you're confronted by a big project or something that you're putting off for whatever reason, very often it's because we lack clarity on what the exact next step is. And as a result of that, it's very easy for resistance to build. It's too overwhelming, it's too much work, I don't know where to start. And it might sometimes even be in the subconscious, we may not even be aware of it. Whereas when you get really clear about what that very small, precise next step is, the whole thing becomes much more manageable. I don't need to worry about my completing my tax return or writing this massive report. All I need to do is as a next step, is to take a sheet of paper off my stack, put it on my desk. And that's my next step. Well, I can do that. I mean, that's super easy, isn't it? Now, you might think, that's a bit odd, isn't it? But it's true, it works. And let me give you an example. For some years now, something I procrastinated over has been the writing of a new book. I've written a number of books for wedding speakers, but where I've procrastinated is over writing a book for presenters in business, which is odd because that's actually my core expertise. And partly it's because I think I spend so much time and enjoy working live with people, whether it's one-to-one in coaching or in workshops or running sessions with large groups. I enjoy that so much, it's very easy just to put off doing something that's non-urgent, like writing a book. During the lockdown early this year, I'm recording this in mid-November 2020, during the lockdown earlier this year, one of the decisions I made in March, April time was to make the book a priority. And I did make meaningful progress. I thought about next action, applied that and made a number of steps and laid the foundations for the book in the form of a working prototype, literally physical copy. And I don't want to just work off a Word document. I want to have actually something tangible I can touch and feel and actually work through and scribble in and so on as I map out the different ideas and outlines for the chapters and how things might fit and what diagrams I might need and so on. But in the last few months, especially since the summer, I've found momentum has dipped. I've lost momentum on it because I've been immersed in a particularly intensive period of live work, which I love, with clients of mine whom I've worked with in some cases for a number of years. And as a result, I've not, I need to reboot. Well, what's the next action? Well, it's not write a chapter. It's not even write a page. The next action, when I really broke it down, is to say, right, I need to take the manuscript, that working little prototype I mentioned a minute ago, off the shelf and put it on my desk. So that's what I've done, and here it is, right? Here's the manuscript. Well, I say manuscript, it's a working document. Loads of scribbles in there for the ideas and draft front page and so on. So that's the next action. It's so easy to do. It took me 3 seconds. Right. Now it's on my desk, of course. I'm in a much better position to take the next action, which will be to open it. And beyond that, the next action, which will be to review some of the stuff that I've already written. Well, I can do that. Do you see what I mean? And before long, I'll be at a point where the next action will be pick up a pencil and start scribbling. See what I mean? So it's such a simple idea, but like so many simple ideas, that they're not always that obvious, and it's easy to lose sight of them. And so my question to you is this: what tasks, initiatives, projects have you procrastinated over? How clear are you on what the exact next step is? Make that as micro as possible, because you'll find resistance will fall as that next step becomes ever more specific and achievable. And by the way, this is something you can apply to presenting as well. So often presentations in the workplace prove to be a complete waste of time because nothing changes as a result. There is no clear next step or next action for the audience. And if you close by giving a next action, it's much more likely that your presentation will be of value. By the way, the second book that I alluded to earlier, so you have it because I promised I would mention it, Do It Tomorrow by Mark Forster. Do It Tomorrow by Mark Forster. Well worth picking up. Next action off the back of this, well, if you're watching this anywhere other than on my website, check out simonbucknell.com. It's my digital home online. And if you hop on there, you'll see that if you like, you can get access to a free ebook with some tips on speaking, effective communication if you would like. And in the meantime, consider what is your next action. Speak soon.